Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Wednesday, September 18th. It is 2024. We have a 12 game MLB slate to talk about here on today's podcast. Riding solo today. TJ had messaged me yesterday, and I'll be honest, I totally forgot to get a replacement for the show. And yeah, riding solo today. I don't mind a solo podcast every once in a while. I actually enjoy them. Hopefully you enjoy them. And it also allows me to do stuff like share plate IQ. So going to do a screen share for everyone hanging out on the YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to see the screen share and watch me break down a slate using plate IQ, go over to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. Always hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I mean, obviously the lineups will be from Tuesday night, but it gives us an idea and we're able to kind of dictate what we want to do. Also, going to do a morning grind game for this slate. You know, if you want to win a chance to if you want to win a chance to win premium here at RotoGrinders, a 3-day premium pass. Heading into the weekend. I mean, this is a great time to take down the morning grind baseball contest and win a 3-day pass heading into the weekend and get to experience all of the fantastic NFL premium content here at RotoGrinders. So if you want to jump in that, I posted the link in chat, and I will also try as hard as I can to remember to post it in the YouTube comment. So all right, we're gonna break down this slate. What's up, chat? How's everybody doing here on this wonderful Tuesday night? I know it's a little bit later too. It's been a long day. That is every day this week, I feel like. So it's gonna be a long week in general. We get started here, and yeah, I agree. No more Boston in parlays. Man, Red Sox. Nick Pivetta. Just gosh, what a terrible outing. Kind of stinks. I have some good lineups going. Oakland and Chicago Cubs lineups that like I have the home runs. And I need Davis Martin. So I have Davis Martin in a couple lineups. He's somebody I'm rooting for here on the late slate. So hopefully he can, have a decent outing. So Yeezy, we're playing each other in the RG season long. All right. You'll probably beat me. I did have first pick and have McCaffrey. So you'll probably beat me. Yeah, banger leaders, baby. Yeah. He was in that lineup that's doing really well. It had Ian Happ as well. So yeah. All right, let's get into it. Break it down. Again, it's a nice little 12-game slate riding solo. So fun stuff. San Francisco at Baltimore, 8 total in this one. Baltimore 175 favorite. Hayden Birdsong against Dean Kramer. Birdsong here first. If we look at Birdsong, so at this time of the year, I love to look at the last 30 days. So I'll look at current season stats for a pitcher, and then I'll look at the 30 days and kind of compare. As we can see, like it's very similar for Birdsong. Basically, his season-long numbers, good strikeout stuff. Walks are really high, a lot of hard contact, and fly balls and line drives have been going way up recently, which isn't great. The whiff rate has come down. He has done a good job of limiting barrels, but man, he's getting very lucky with a 222 BABIP. So not a lot of signs that we like to see, especially in a tough matchup here against Baltimore. They'll get some of these right-handed line hitters back out of the lineup and get some of their lefties back in this lineup. So I think overall, I think this is a spot at 5,500. If you wanted to roster him in large field tournaments, you're getting a 27% K rate guy at 5,500. It'd be a 150 max kind of thing. I don't think I would personally do it. He's not someone that I think would make my player pool today. The command is the biggest issue with me on Birdsong. We've seen him walk 4 or 5 guys in a start and get pulled at 75 pitches. So I think that's the biggest downside to Hayden Birdsong. He is someone that really needs to work on command this offseason, and I think he'll be all right. Other side of this game, we got Dean Kramer pitching for Baltimore. Kramer's strikeouts have been good. He's done a really good job recently of limiting power. I talked about this in his last start. 57 ISO over his last 30 days. He's just done a really good job of not giving up home runs. He's only allowed one home run in his last 9 starts. And he's pitched well against Boston, Tampa, Colorado, Houston, New York. The only really somewhat bad outing was in Coors against the Rockies. So I actually kind of like Dean Kramer here at 6,200. I think that he makes a lot of sense for tournaments today. I think like a guy that's throwing 6+ innings, striking hitters out, facing a weak lineup here in San Francisco that, I mean, you could see it. They have a lot of strikeout potential in this lineup. So the bottom half of the lineup, a lot of strikeouts, very little power. McRae really striking out a ton, even though he has a little bit of power. So I think Dean Kramer makes a lot of sense today. And I think Baltimore makes a lot of sense in general. So as far as the bats, nothing really jumping off the page for me here. As far as the Giants, I do like playing Fitzgerald. I like playing him more against left-handed pitching. Yaz is someone that I don't mind, but I mean, Kramer's just doing a fantastic job using his like cutter, fastball, splitter, sinker combination to generate like no power. He's just not getting hit hard. So I'm going to pass on the San Francisco bats. And then as far as the Baltimore bats go here, I do have some interest in Baltimore against Birdsong. Anytime you get a pitcher struggling with command, like command and fly balls and hard contact, I just think overall, this is a spot you could definitely take some shots on the Baltimore bats. I think Gunnar and Santander would be my 2 favorites. They're also the most expensive. So like Cowser, O'Hearn, Holiday on the cheaper end. Atlanta at Cincinnati, 8.5 total in this game. Atlanta 150 favorite. Spencer Schwallenbach against Jacob Junis. Going to Schwallenbach first. Got to find this game on. Here it is. Going to my boy, Schwallenbach. Listen, if you've been listening to me, you know that I'm a huge fan of this kid. I think that he has incredible talent. He's had a rough go matchup-wise here recently. And I'm not saying like this is the easiest matchup in the world. But I think that this is a really good potential spot for him. This is a team that, they have a couple hitters in this lineup that don't strike out as much as, some of the other hitters that they've had. But when this team's off, they're off. Schwallenbach's a really good strikeout pitcher. I think this is a spot. He has like a 30+ point ceiling. So I definitely want to play some Schwallenbach here. They're just missing like a lot of power lefties. Like Fraley has a 122 ISO. Friedl, he's under 200. He's a good hitter. He's not awful. Good low strikeout hitter. Ellie De La Cruz, really good hitter, strikes out a ton. You almost want to see Ellie De La Cruz in the lineup because of his strikeout ability. Junis on the other side, I'll be honest, I did not know Junis was even starting. Like whenever he moved into this like starting role. Not good. He's not going to go out there and walk a lot of people. He does a really good job of generating, throwing strikes. That is one of his things, but he's been getting really lucky here recently. His BABIP is definitely suggesting like some of his X numbers are really bad. I was looking at it before the show. I was kind of like shocked that Junis was starting. Just might not end up like Cincinnati plays a lot of those like early slates that don't make the main slate. I just don't look at those games as often. So I definitely don't want to put Junis here at 6K. And I have a lot of interest in the Atlanta bats today. This game's in Cincinnati. This seems like a spot Atlanta is going to do well. I like Ozuna, Olsen, Soler, Harris, whoever else you want to see who cracks the lineup today. But I think this is a really good spot. Junis not going to pitch really deep into this game. And the Cincinnati bullpen is kind of middle of the road. So I think this is a spot we definitely want to target the Atlanta bats. And I mean, you all know, you guys listen and hang out. Like I've been off of Atlanta for a while now, but I think this is a spot to jump on Atlanta. And then on the red side, Schwallenbach's a really good pitcher. I know he's had a little bit of struggles. If anything, lefty power, De La Cruz, Friddle, those would be the two bats that I would play here, but I'm not going out of my way to pay up for De La Cruz at 6K on this slate. Friddle at 4,400, I think is okay. Moving on, we got Minnesota at Cleveland, 7.5 total. Cleveland, a slight 120 favorite. Bailey Ober against Tanner Bybee. This is a good baseball game. I think this is going to be a really close baseball game. Starting with Ober. I mean, Ober, again, like 25 to 26% basically all season. His whiff rate right around where it's been. Swinging strike rate has been phenomenal. This is a really terrible spot. They don't strike out a ton. I mean, they did pick up Lane Thomas and they called up Manzardo. That's 2 more strikeouts here in this lineup that add a little bit of upside. They don't have a ton of power. They're not going to beat you by the long ball. It's an ownership thing. Like, if Bailey Ober is not getting any ownership today, I think you could take a shot. My problem with Ober is, like, his ceiling is not terrible, but it's not amazing. He put up 33 fantasy points against this team earlier this year. And that was his second start against him. His first start, he put up like 1 fantasy point. So, I mean, 1 to 35, like, that's the kind of pitcher that you typically say, okay, I could take some shots on him. He's just consistently been pitching good all year. So I think depending on the ownership on Bailey Ober, you could potentially take some shots on him, especially if, like, Manzardo, Thomas, Nailers in this lineup. I mean, some of these other guys could potentially crack the lineup too, which would help. But overall, you want to look at the lineup and see some of these strikeout hitters in there. Because, I mean, the top half, Martinez, Jimenez, Ramirez, Josh Naylor, they're not going to strike out, and they're the bats that are going to beat you overall too. Tanner Bybee on the other side, not Bieber, Bybee. He's another guy that strikeouts have been solid. But if we look, like, his recent left-handed numbers have really been struggling. He's been really struggling with lefties. That has been a huge downfall for him over the last month and a half. Fly ball rate's up. Line drive rate is up. WOBA is at 405. ISO's at 270. His whiff rate is way down. So Bybee is somebody that I definitely don't mind playing lefties against, and I don't want to play him in this spot. But I don't necessarily want to stack Minnesota. I like Wallner against lower strikeout pitchers. Bybee, when he gets hit, you know, it's a guy that he does get hit hard, but he does have strikeout stuff. I prefer Wallner against, like, lower strikeout pitchers. I think it's going to be like boom bust spot for Wallner, like 0 for 3 with 2 or 3 strikeouts, or a big hit potential. So, I mean, Wallner, I definitely like him against lower strikeout pitchers, but Bybee's really been struggling with lefties. I like Larnach. I think he's fine. Castro, not my favorite. Santana, not my favorite. I like Santana against lefties. So I guess I don't like Minnesota as much as I originally thought I would. Who am I missing? I'm not really missing anybody. So potentially the lefties, but overall, like, maybe not as good of a spot as I originally thought. And I definitely respect Ober enough where I don't want to stack Cleveland against him. He does give up a lot of fly balls, so when we see a fly ball pitcher, we go in here to plate IQ, we hit advanced, we go, who's the ground ball hitters? So, like, Jimenez and Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor, this might be a fantastic spot for Josh Naylor. He has a 47% ground ball rate against left or right-handed pitching, and we see Bailey Ober trending to fly balls instead of ground balls. Ground ball hitter, fly ball pitcher, generates more line drives. So this might, like, profile-wise, might be a really good spot for Naylor. We see he has a 54% hard hit rate, 8% barrels. So I think, if anything, you're potentially playing some Josh Naylor in this spot. I think that maybe he flies a little under the radar today too in this tougher matchup, and could be a one like good, really solid one-off home run. I mean, Josh Naylor is sitting at 29 home runs on the year. So it'd be interesting. I'd have to go into Baseball Reference and, like, look and see how many home runs he's hit against like ground ball pitchers and how many home runs he's hit against like fly ball pitchers. But yeah, I mean, typically you want to target a ground ball hitter like Naylor against a fly ball guy like Ober. So there you go. Dodgers and Marlins, 9 total in this game. Dodgers a 185 favorite. Landon Knack, Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers back in our lives. I don't know if Miami actually ended up winning the game, but they were beating the Dodgers the last time I had checked tonight. I don't know if they ended up winning that game or not, but Bobby Miller, baby. Oh, gosh, that guy. Landon Knack here against Miami. He has some strikeout stuff. He does get hit hard when he gets hit hard. Command kind of all over the place. And I mean, 64 pitches against Atlanta last time out because he was getting absolutely shellacked by the Braves. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see like if he gets a lot of ownership, but Sanchez, Berger, Bride, Norby, like all these guys have been hitting. They do strike out quite a bit. Marlins won 11-9. Yeah, that's crazy. Landon Knack, large field tournament potential, but I will say, like, going back to that first game, I like Dean Kramer more than I like Landon Knack today. So if Landon Knack's getting a ton of ownership in Miami against the Marlins, I think Dean Kramer could potentially be a fantastic pivot, but Landon Knack has a little bit of upside against this lineup. Other side here, I don't want to play Weathers at all. Like, obviously, he's coming back from the IL. He has been out for over 3 months. Yeah, June 7th. Yeah, Dodgers pitching staff. You're not wrong. It was a finger injury. He worked 5 innings in AAA in a rehab start. I don't know like how much he'll really go in this game anyway, but yeah, I mean, he was pitching really well before he got hurt with the finger injury. Like you could see here, his stats were really good. I hate playing pitchers coming back, and I hate playing pitchers against the Dodgers. So this is just one of those spots where they're going to get some of these left-handed hitters out of the lineup. We're going to get a lot of righties in this lineup. Will Smith should be back in the lineup here. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be very right-handed outside of like Freeman and Ohtani, maybe Muncy. Think this is a spot you want to stay away from Weathers. As far as the Dodgers bats, I mean, obviously I have a lot of interest in Tommy Edman. You know, he, after like not hitting any home runs, decided he wanted to start hitting home runs. So, I mean, against the lefty, he's had a lot of power from the right side of the plate throughout his career. So, obviously, have some interest in Edman, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez. Hernandez having a phenomenal year against left-handed pitching, 291 ISO, 413 WOBA. So, really good season. Ohtani, always in play. Lefty, his ownership might be down a little bit too. So, don't hate that. When Landon Knack is off, he's really off. So, like, if you want to play a little bit of Marlins as like a mini stack here, a secondary stack, I don't hate that idea. Like, especially if Knack's getting some ownership here. Sorry, I don't want to cough. Yeah, if Knack's getting some ownership here, I think you can take shots on like Edwards, Norby, Sanchez, Berger, Bride. The top half of this lineup, I think, is okay. Like Knack, when he's struggled, it's definitely been with like right-handed power. We see he's kind of reverse splitsy this year. 272 ISO, 360 WOBA to righties, 53% hard hits. And if we look at his last few starts since coming back, this is probably his last 2 starts with 37 plate appearances. 78% hard hit rate against righties. ISO, he's really struggled with right-handed power. So, like, if you wanted to take Norby or Berger or Bride, don't hate the little bit. Like, don't hate the Marlins like mini stack here that I don't think really anybody would be on at all. I don't think anybody is stacking the Marlins today. So, the only thing that stinks on like DraftKings is like I don't think you could play Berger, Bride, and Norby together, right? Yeah, you can't because they're like you have to pick two of them because of the position eligibility. So that kind of stinks. Houston at San Diego. Seven total pick'em games, straight pick'em. It's Framber Valdez. It's Dylan Cease. It probably should be a pick'em game. I think that overall this is going to be a really solid baseball game. We'll go to Valdez here first. You know, we've highlighted the strikeouts and the way that Valdez has been pitching here recently. He has just been lights out, start after start. No home runs in the last 6 outings for him. Walks are still a little bit of an issue from time to time, but man, he has just been awesome. Like, he's just pitched awesome. I don't hate it. I really don't. Like, I don't like playing right-handed pitchers against San Diego. I talk about it all the time. I still think the strikeout upside is very limited, but I wouldn't be shocked if like Valdez throws like 7 or 8 shutout innings in this game and just doesn't really get hit very hard. So I don't hate this spot for Framber. I think he's very playable. I think his ceiling's kind of capped because it is San Diego, but I don't hate it. I really don't. Dylan Cease on the other side, I would much prefer Valdez than Cease. You know, you look at this lineup against right-handed pitching, they only have one hitter with a strikeout rate over 20% against righties this year, and that's Singleton. And he doesn't even necessarily play every day, so like he might not even be in the lineup. Like, Jason Hayward's numbers are good enough to be like playing every day for a bunch of teams and like got just let go by the Dodgers because they just don't need him. But he's 2,900. So, yeah, I mean, back to Cease really quick. 9,800, tough price tag, tough matchup, coming off of his best start in a long time, but it was against San Francisco in San Francisco. We talked about it. Like, I just don't think this is a spot I want to play Cease. I don't know if I want to necessarily play Houston. Houston is a team that should fly under the radar today. So if you did want to play like Tucker Alvarez, Hayward, I mean, Hayward is what, 2.9K, right? Yeah, he's 2.9K. He has a 209 ISO with a 318 WOBA and doesn't strike out a ton against right-handed pitching. Hit safely in 4 straight games. There is some pinch hit risk with him. If they do bring in a lefty late here, they probably pinch hit for Jason Hayward. So I don't want to play C's. I don't want to go crazy on Houston unless they're just not going to have any ownership here. And then San Diego, like, we talk about it all the time. Valdez is like one of the worst guys to stack against. His ground ball rate is 61.4%, 68% over the last 30 days. He has just been pitching phenomenal. Not a guy I want to stack against unless they have like an extreme fly ball hitter, which they don't. Little bit here with Higgs. He's 42.9%. So like if you were going to target anybody, it'd be him, but I wouldn't do it. Not a spot I'd attack. Boston at Tampa Bay. Wish I wasn't so busy this week. I just realized like this game, like yesterday I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize the Red Sox were coming into Tampa this week. I'm not going to get down there for a game this year. I hate that. I always try to go see a Red Sox game. Anyway, hate that. Going here, Boston at Tampa, 8 total. Tampa 120 favorite. Tanner Houck against Ryan Pepiot. Houck dealing with this like dead arm situation and pitching terrible recently. I just can't do it. Like all the reports that have come out about like his arm condition and stuff, like he's not necessarily pitching awful, but not good enough for me to play him at 8,100. I like playing pitchers against this Tampa team. I talk about it all the time. I mean, look at it. Brandon Lau, they just strike out a ton. There's a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. But the dead arm situation, not pitching deep into games, it just worries me. Like he hasn't touched 7 strikeouts since Chicago White Sox on June 6th. He hasn't pitched 7 innings. So I worry about Houck's arm. Pepiot, yeah, I don't know. Like they said he labored through 2 innings the other night, but it wasn't injury. They pulled him. I don't know what to expect here. I I don't think I could do it, especially against the Red Sox, who typically hit right-handed pitching well. Sometimes they forget to hit right-handed pitching. My boy Wyatt Langford though just hit a home run, so that's always good. Always like seeing those Wyatt Langford home runs. Oh man, I feel like he's gonna be really good. That guy, I'm always pumped about him. Anyway, yeah. I mean, overall, I feel like Pepiot is the guy I'm gonna stay away from today. I like the Red Sox a little bit in this spot. I'm a sucker, but you look at his recent stats. He's really struggled with left-handed power. You got Devers, you got Duran, you got Abreu, you got Cassis, Yoshida. I think you could take some shots on Boston lefties here. I don't know, Yeezy. Like a lot of people have ruled out Wyatt Langford for Rookie of the Year, and like he's not even like in the running, but dude keeps hitting home runs. I might be a little live. I don't even know what his current odds are right now for Rookie of the Year. But yeah, I mean, I still have that. I didn't do anything with that ticket. It's just sitting there. Rank Langford, Holiday, Carpenter. I think it's the way that you have it. I really do. I think it's Jackson, Holiday, Langford, 1-2. But again, like I'm very high on Langford in general. Kerry Carpenter is my dude, but I think that Langford and Holiday have a longer career than Carpenter. I like Boston bats. I mean, back to that, not to get too yeah, I mean, I'm gonna definitely play some Boston bats today. And then as far as the Tampa bats go, if they're gonna be low owned, they're cheap enough where again, like Tanner Houck, this arm issue worries me. He's a ground ball pitcher that doesn't typically give up a lot of home runs. He hasn't given up more than one home run in a start, like 9 of his 10 last starts. So only once he's given up multiple home runs in an outing. Tampa doesn't have a ton of power, so I mean, why I might not be on Houck for playing him, I don't think I'd stack against him today. I think there's better options. There's a bunch of options we've already talked about. There's some options we're going to talk about. All right, moving on. Washington at New York, 7.5 total. Mets a 175 favorite. DJ Hers, Jose Quintana. Going to DJ Hers first. We should get a pretty similar lineup from New York today. They just faced a lefty. I mean, maybe Lindor is back. They did say a couple days for him. They did say like 2 to 5 days, and that was yesterday. So maybe he's back, but I highly doubt he'll be back for this series. So I doubt he'll play here. But if he's back, obviously that bumps up the lineup a little bit. DJ Hers, he's come on strong here recently with some strikeouts. His strikeout stuff has been really solid, and he's put up some good outings. But it was Miami, it was Pittsburgh, two teams that have really struggled with left-handed pitching. Struggled against the Cubs, pitched well against Atlanta. But I mean, those are strikeout matchups. There is some strikeouts in this lineup. Marte, Alonso, Vientos, JD Martinez, they strike out. So I think this is a boom bust spot in Citi Field that no one's going to play, that you could take some shots on. I don't think anybody will be on DJ Hers. And I mean, you see it. You're looking at Plate IQ with me. 34.6% strikeouts, 15% swinging strike rate against righties, and they hit 9 righties on Tuesday. So I think there's some potential here. Obviously we'd have to maybe look into the batted ball stuff a little bit. Looks like he throws fastball, changeup, slider. Yeah, I mean, maybe Hers is worth a little bit of tournament exposure if you're playing anything like 20 or 150. Quintana on the other side, like, I mean, I like Mets pitchers. Played a lot of McGill on Tuesday night. I think he ended okay. I don't think Quintana has the upside. He's just not a guy that typically goes out and strikes out a lot. He kind of goes out there, pitches to contact, tries to generate ground balls. So just at 6,500, could you do it? I think you could in this ballpark against this team. Depending on the lineup, I think you could do it. He's not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but I like the price tag. I think I'd rank Kramer over Quintana if I had to rank the two of them in this very similar price tag. But I mean, he has been pitching pretty well, and he's a guy that can go 90 plus pitches. He can pitch into 100 pitches. Look at it over the last 30 days, averaging 95.4 pitches per outing. So I like that. Obviously, I think that's solid. As far as the Washington bats here, I wish Dylan Cruz wasn't so expensive. I would have some interest in him, but he's 4,800. It's a really tough price tag. I do like the matchup for him. I don't know what his FanDuel price is. I don't have FanDuel up in front of me. If he's in a cheap situation on FanDuel, if Yepis is cheap on FanDuel, like those two guys, I think would be the two you're attacking here against Quintana. But not absolutely in love with anybody. DJ Hers, again, like he really hasn't been giving up any power, probably generating a lot of soft contact with the changeup. So looking at this matchup, we'd have to kind of look at like who hits changeups really well. Pete Alonso, not bad. Marte, not bad. Vientos, not bad. A lot of strikeouts for Vientos against changeups. So I expect DJ Hers to attack Vientos here with changeups. That looks to be a good weakness for him. So, yeah, I mean, overall, Alonso would be my favorite. Alonso hits fastball changeups really well. That's going to be the usage point here. 52% fastballs, 27% changeups. Uses those pitches a lot. And then, I mean, if we go in even more here and look at like what he does against righties, I mean, look, 80% of his pitches are going to be fastball changeup, which Pete Alonso performs well against both of those pitches. Seems like a good spot to maybe take some, one-off exposure on Pete Alonso. I do that a lot of the time. That's how I'll like look at stuff. I mean, I'll use Baseball Savant every once in a while as well. But I mean, the tool here, Plate IQ, worth the price of admission. It's just I use it every day, and I've used it every day for years, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciate that tool. I would go kicking and screaming if I was ever in a meeting and that ever got brought up to be taken away. I would fight very hard for that one. All right, Detroit at Kansas City. Very interesting series, right? We've been talking about like how important the series is and like how these games matter so much for both of these teams, especially the Tigers. And the Tigers did it again. I mean, they did it in the top of the 10th, and they beat them in the top of the 10th. They were able to get up on Reagan's early, and the Tigers won again. Tigers playing baseball right now. It's really cool to see. We got Scoble against Marsh in this one. Another really strong matchup, but man, you all have been hanging out with me all week. You know that I've been talking about this could be a huge sweep for Detroit if they were able to, take the Royals here in this series. This is a big potential. Obviously, Scoble, always a guy that I like a lot. He has a good strikeout upside. It's been there all year. It hasn't stopped. 30% on the year, 32.9% over the last 30 days. Just phenomenal. And their strikeouts at the bottom half of this lineup right now, this bottom half is really weak, and they're dealing with some injuries. They had to get Gurriel because Pasquantino got hurt. They obviously got Pham. He's good against lefties. Witt's good against lefty. Perez is good against lefties. Renfroe is good against lefties. But Scoble, the bottom half of this lineup is a part of this lineup he can attack. I think he has a lot of upside here, and I don't know why, but I am just kind of rooting for Detroit Tigers. They're just a team that's kind of under the radar, and I think they're a fun team. I just think they're a fun team. I don't really have anything else outside of that. I just think they're a fun team. Alec Marsh, look at these numbers against left-handed hitting. walks have been way up. Oh, that was last year. I was about to say, yeah. So strikeouts have been way down. I knew his numbers against lefties were kind of down. 366 ISO, 440 WOBA. They have some really solid lefties in this lineup. I don't think this is a spot I want to play Alec Marsh. I like the $6,800 price tag. I think Alec Marsh gets some ownership today. I wrote that down in my notes before the podcast today, and I think he gets some ownership. So I hope he does, right? Like, I hope Alec Marsh gets ownership, and I don't want to play him. I kind of like Detroit today. I like the Detroit bats. Like, I think you could play some Riley Green. I think you could play some Sweeney, Parker Meadows, and my boy. You got to play my boy Kerry Carpenter. Look at these numbers: 321 ISO, 418 WOBA against left-handed pitch or right-handed pitching this season. Oh, Kerry Carpenter just keeps doing his thing. 4,300. Yeah, I mean, I want to play some Kerry Carpenter. I want to play some Riley Green. And I'm going to do everybody a favor. I'm going to put Riley Green as the morning grind image today. There you go. There. You're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know. Who did I put? Did I put Soto? I don't remember who I put on the podcast yesterday. I think I put Soto. I could be wrong. Oh, no, I put Harper. Harper hit a home run, right? Didn't Harper hit a home run? Pretty sure Harper hit a home run. So, yeah. It doesn't happen every day. The man, the morning grind image. Ooh, fire. Watch out. Kansas City against Scoble. I think that there is better options overall. It was Harper. I just looked. Harper hit a home run. I'm pretty sure Harper hit a home run. I had his over total bases today, and it hit, so I think he hit a home run. Not playing Kansas City today. I think Scoble is one of the better pitchers on the slate. I think there's a ton of spots to attack in the slate. I mean, yeah, like Perez, Renfroe, Witt, Pham, they're all really good against lefties. It's an elite lefty. Like he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball all year. He's just really good. He's really good. Philadelphia at Milwaukee. Aaron Nola, Freddie Peralta, 7.5 total. Another really good baseball game. I mean, this has been a week of really good baseball games. Milwaukee's a 120 favorite here with Peralta against Nola. Aaron Nola, really good pitcher. I mean, this is just one of those spots where I don't know if I could play him. I just kind of want to cross this whole game off. It was my initial read on this slate or on this game. Milwaukee's a tough lineup. They do have some strikeouts in this lineup with Mitchell and Bowers and Hoskins, but they have a lot of power. They have a lot of upside, and they're very patient. They walk a lot. They steal bases on you. Nola has been struggling a little bit with command. He's been getting hit harder here recently. Hard hit rate up 6% over the last 30 days. That's not what you want to see. But barrel rate down, which is always good. Swinging strike rate up, which is really good. Whiff rate up. So all those signs are positive, but this BABIP definitely going to normalize a little bit on both sides here. So I don't think I want to get to Nola today. I do think, like, if you're playing 150, you definitely take a shot on Nola. He's that good. Peralta on the other side, I mean, I've highlighted this a lot recently with Peralta, but I'll keep doing it. Look at these numbers. I mean, you're looking at Plate IQ with me if you're hanging out on YouTube right now, watching this live. Strikeout rate against righties on the season, 26.6%. Usually right-handed is where he kind of does his work. 14% over the last 30 days. 325 ISO, 428 WOBA, 39% fly balls, and 60% hard hits. That is not a recipe for success for Freddie Peralta. They have a lot of power in this lineup. Realmuto, Castellanos, Trey Turner has pop. Harper, Schwarber, obviously. I think this is a spot you want to stay away from Freddie Peralta. I don't want to play Freddie Peralta today. I think Philadelphia could break the slate. I'm just going to go ahead and be on record on saying I think Philly has the upside to break the slate. They have so much potential in this lineup with Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Stott, Realmuto, Marsh, Kyle Stevenson at the bottom half. Like, they have a lot of upside. And there's days that you could just pick on Peralta and he gets hit really hard. He's given up 25 home runs this year. He's given up multiple home runs 4 times in his last 11 games. So don't sleep on Philly in this spot. I think this is one of those spots where they could be a like boomer bust tournament winning team. And yeah, I mean, this is a fun baseball game, but I think there's a lot of upside in this game. I didn't originally like Philly. I'm not going to lie. When I came on here, I wanted to X this game off, but the more I think about this, the more I like Philadelphia. I don't like Milwaukee. I don't think I want to pick on Nola. Nola's a really strong pitcher. I just don't see a lot of upside in picking on Nola. Yeah, like if you were going to do it, Trio, Contreras, Mitchell, Adames, Terang would be my targets. Not my favorite game on the slate. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 type of game. Wheeler pitch well. I think that's kind of what we see again today. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. Joey Wentz against Sonny Gray, 7.5 total here. St. Louis a 168 favorite. I don't think Joey Wentz, he's going to be like an opener. He kind of pitched in like an opener role for Detroit and like out of the bullpen a little bit. This is a straight up bullpen game. Wentz is not going to pitch long. Yeah, I mean, they're just kind of hurting. I know Pittsburgh just kind of hurting here. So I don't know how much he'll pitch. I don't expect him to pitch deep. Don't want to play him by any means. And then Sonny Gray, I like Sonny Gray a lot today. I would put him up probably in my top 3 spend ups on this slate. You know, looking at the spend ups, I think it's Scoble, Valdez, Gray. Those are my 3 favorite spend ups on this slate. I like Gray a lot. Pittsburgh kind of stinks. O'Neal Cruz is banged up. He's been out of the lineup here. Don't know if he'll be back. He had some ankle soreness. No reason to really rush him back either. If you're Pittsburgh, I mean, you're 71-80. You're almost basically mathematically eliminated. I think they are mathematically eliminated at this point. If not, they're very close. So no reason to rush O'Neal Cruz back. He's a franchise player. Sonny Gray, a lot of upside in this spot. 30% Ks on the year, just dominating righties. This is a lineup that still gets a lot of right-handers and like even more righties when O'Neal Cruz is not in the lineup. You know, we saw a 3-1 game. Lance Lynn pitch solid, right? Like I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Lynn, 6 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 2 walks. Solid outing, right? That's just kind of what I'm expecting again here. I think that this is one of those spots where St. Louis wins. And I will say, I was looking again. I looked pre-show on the Hard Rock app, and this game's not available. I really wanted to make this part of my 3-pick parlay today. I like the St. Louis side here. I wrote down St. Louis minus 168. I like the St. Louis side of this game for sure. Like I said, I wish I could get this in my 3-pick parlay. I might wait to bet my 3-pick parlay until tomorrow morning because I want to put this game in it. Yeah. Moving on. Oh, bats. I don't have any interest in the Pittsburgh Bats. They're not my favorite team today. Not seeing a ton of upside here against Sonny Gray. And then on the other side, I want to play bats here for the Cardinals. I worry a lot about like pinch hit risk. Baker, I worry about pinch hit risk here. But St. Louis is very cheap, you know, and Derek just said in chat too. They're really cheap. So I obviously have a lot of interest in Wynn at 3,500. He's probably one of my top value plays on the entire slate. I love that price tag on him at 3,500. He hits lefties and righties well, like much better power wise against lefties, but doesn't strike out, puts the ball in play, can steal bases. So yeah, I like Wynn a lot. Arenado at 3,600, I think is fine. So you gotta almost like, you almost have to, when you're looking at bullpen games, right? You almost have to go look at the bullpen stats for Pittsburgh, which they're a bottom 5 bullpen. I don't know if it'll work here, but yeah. So you can kind of see their bullpen numbers here on Plate IQ. General idea, just not great, right? Like this is a lot of, you want to see like a lot of green, like um for instance, like Cleveland. Let's go to Cleveland really quick. And I know I'm getting sidetracked, but I like to show off the tool, right? So Cleveland's bullpen, look how good this bullpen is. Just see all this green and just how well they've been to like a top rated bullpen all year. And you could see the difference in like this type of bullpen. This is a top 5 bullpen on what it looks like on Plate IQ with a lot of green, very little, like maybe a little bit of pink. And then we go back to, oh, I hit the wrong button. We go back to the Pittsburgh. Look how much like pink and red. Like that is not what you want to see. And I mean, if you can even do last 30 days and you can see like they're still struggling with righties, even more with righties. So that actually plays to like Goldschmidt and Wynn and Arenado even better. So yeah, I think that this is a spot you are going to end up taking some shots on. Sorry about that. On the St. Louis side. Toronto at Texas, 8 total in this game. Texas a 120 favorite. Back to the starter. I don't know if you know if you're a premium member and you're hanging out in chat, do you use the bullpen on Plate IQ? I think it's very, very helpful. And like when you're looking at bullpen stuff, you can always switch the hitters to all and just kind of look at how people perform against both. I think that's also helpful, but 8 total, Texas 120 favorite. Bowden Francis, Cody Bradford going to, whoops, wrong button. Going to Bowden Francis here first. I mean, obviously, he's been pitching a lot better recently. Still just kind of dominating right-handed hitters, really struggling with lefties. Like his strikeout rate dips a lot against lefties. So Bowden Francis, you have to have very right-handed heavy lineups for him to be very playable. He's had some good matchups against left-handed teams, but he's been pitching a lot better. We talked about like how he has the potential and like he's a prospect. But I guess he's not like a huge prospect as far as like age. I think he's like 27 or 28, but he, is somebody that has showed promise. He's just been pitching a lot better recently. This game, last time I checked, there's been a lot of like hits and stuff in this game. Keep getting notifications about this game. I don't necessarily want to pay 8,300 for Bowden Francis against Texas unless like the lineup comes out and it kind of looks like this. Like if this is the lineup that they roll out again, like there's a little bit of upside here. We can look at the last 30 days for this team and, Wyatt Langford, look at those numbers. Absolutely solid, but there's a lot of potential strikeout upside here with not a ton of power, a little bit of power at the top half. So Bowden Francis might actually be okay for tournaments. He has some upside. He's shown upside recently. So yeah, another thing you can just kind of do and look, because we are at that time of the year where you want to see who's slowing down and who's ramping it up. And one guy that's kind of slowing down and struggling here recently is Bradford. He has not been as good here recently. ISO up 216, 40 points. Woba kind of around the same. Swinging strike rate down. Whiff rate down. Barrel rate kind of the same. BABIP just keeps getting very lucky. His X stats are just awful. And we saw him last time out against Arizona just kind of get beat up in that game. Bichette's back, which adds another right-handed power bat in this lineup. Vlad, obviously Springer, his numbers are way better recently than they are on the year. I guess not against lefties, but against righties, gosh, this team just continues to have all this right-handed like talent and not use it against left-handed pitching. It's such a weird team. They're so good against righties, and they just struggle so much against lefties. I still don't think I could do it with Bradford. He's 8,100. I think there's better options in this range. I probably don't get there. As far as the Toronto bats, I mean, Bichette's 3,900. I do think I like Win more at 3,500 than I like Bichette. Vlad, I think, is your main target here. He's really expensive. There's a ton of good first base plays today, which is always fun. I don't mind like Ernie Clement. He's a guy that puts the ball on the bat on the ball instead of backwards a lot. So I don't necessarily hate that. And then on the Texas side, against Francis, like I really worry just how much like he has been pitching well recently. I think if anything, you target some left-handed power, which Texas don't have a lot of left-handed power. I think this is a potential stay away spot for me. If they happen to go off, they go off. You guys ever buy anything on eBay? I'm sure everybody does, right? I love getting the emails. It's like, this is almost yours. It's ending soon. The countdown has begun. So I buy shoes off eBay sometimes, and there's a pair of volleyball shoes that I want to wear that I really like, and they were a really good price on eBay. So hoping I win the auction. Hey, Sharon. Then you get sniped. Yeah, I mean, I feel like these I don't get sniped as much. I've gotten sniped a ton of times on eBay before, and it's fine. I always set like my max bid at like what I want to pay for something. But I buy a lot of cards on eBay as well. Like Pokemon and baseball cards and stuff. All right, we finish it out. New York at Seattle, 7.5 total. New York a 120 favorites. Nestor Cortez against Bryce Miller in this one. Some slight interest in Cortez. They have some power against lefties at the top half. They don't strike out as much. He's kind of been struggling a little bit recently. Depends on like his ownership. If he's getting a ton of ownership, I'll probably be underweight. If he's not getting a lot of ownership, I could be overweight. I will say this too. There's a lot of pitching on the slate. So like you could play the ownership game, This is a spot where I think that a lot of potential for ownership to be played, like the ownership game to be played. There's a lot of good pitching today. A lot of good pitching. And then on the other side, Bryce Miller. I don't want to play Bryce Miller against the Yankees. I'm not a huge Bryce Miller fan anyway. I like what he does. He throws a lot of strikes, struggles a little bit with left-handed power. I wrote down 10 when I did my. I just counted it. I wrote down 10 when I did my initial research for pitching. I don't want to play Bryce Miller today. I think this is a really tough spot. I don't hate the Yankees. If you want to late night hammer the Yankees, this game starts an hour and 35 minutes after every other game. And I don't think the Yankees will have a ton of ownership with this slate starting. You probably don't have a Yankees lineup when this slate goes live with that San Francisco-Baltimore game. That's typically why they don't include the 6:40 games, but that's, kind of what we're looking at today. So, Judge, Soto, Wells, Jazz, Verdugo, Dominguez. I think I'd stay away from Rizzo. I think the back is finally done for Rizzo. So I'd probably stay away from him. But there's Dominguez is 3,600 here. So I like that. Oh, he just homered. There you go. So I like that price tag for him. Jazz, kind of expensive. I think I'd prefer Soto over Judge if I had to pick out of the two. But yeah, I think the Yankees are definitely in play today. No, real interest in Seattle overall. It's been a rough year for them. Right-handed power is where Cortez has struggled. A lot of hard contacts, and his ground ball rate has kind of dropped down. A lot of line drives. Hate to see that. The big dumper, I think, is a catcher at 4,400. Always somebody you can take tournament shots on. This guy has 30 home runs this year, and he's a freaking catcher. So Cal Riley, always in play. Rosarena's 4,200. So, if you wanted to make a little, three-man here with, Rowley, Rodriguez, and Rosarena, I wouldn't talk you off of it. They're all three, in this $42 to $4,400 range. So I wouldn't talk you off of that one by any means. All right, let's play the morning grind game. 55 minutes. Oh, I'm under an hour. By myself solo on a 12-game slate, under an hour. I think that's winning. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed the Play IQ free preview. Join the morning grind game to win a chance for a 3-day premium pass here. Take that down and use the baseball. We got a week and a half left of regular season baseball. You can use the awesome NFL content that we have here. Man, we have been pumping out some NFL content. So speaking of NFL content, NFL podcast tomorrow, Wednesday night. Come hang out with us live, 10 p.m. Eastern. Noto and I will break down week 3. A lot to talk about. Week 2 was crazy. Had a really good slate for me, week 2. So excited. I finished first out of all the shows. The morning grind finished first out of all the shows in the listeners league. So probably talk a little smack. So that time that we finished last, it doesn't feel as bad. All right, morning grind game. Got sidetracked. But yeah, come hang out with us tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night for the NFL show. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. There's a lot of options today. I feel like there is a handful of options. I'm going to go with Dean Kramer here against San Francisco. I like Kramer. He has over 7 strikeouts in 3 of his last 5 starts. I think this is a really good spot for him. So I'm going to go Kramer to get the strikeouts today. Over 8K to score under 15, my bust today. I think there are a few potential busts today, but there's one that just jumped off the page to me when we were breaking down, or when I was breaking down these games, and that is Freddie Peralta. I do not want anything to do with Freddie Peralta today. This is just a spot. I'm going to stay away from Freddie Peralta. I don't really have a ton of interest in him. So yeah, nothing to do with Freddie Peralta today. Over 4K to hit a home run. I think there's a ton of options to hit home runs today. But I'm going to go to my boy, Kerry Carpenter, to go yard today. Absolutely love him. Under 4K to get 2 hits. I'm going to go back to Mason Wynn to get 2 hits today. Should hit leadoff for the Cardinals today. Like this potential matchup. Pirates haven't officially announced that Joey Wentz is going to pitch yet, so that's why the totals got pulled down and can't bet that game right now. So, Stack to score 6 or more runs. A lot of potential spots today to score 6 or more runs. But I'm going to go to a team that I don't feel like I've talked a lot about this team recently. But give me the Atlanta Braves to score 6 or more runs today. I think this is a good spot to attack Atlanta. And again, I can't remember the last time that I liked Atlanta to score 6 or more runs. Pick 2 home runs since by myself. 2 home runs. All right, I could do 2 home runs. Let's see. I am gonna just say, if you're wanting to throw a quarter unit on a home run today, I really like the potential for Josh Naylor. I'm looking to see if his odds are up. I assume Josh Naylor's home run odds today are going to be really solid. Let's look it up. Let's see where he's at. He is at Josh Naylor to hit a home run. It looks like you get it at plus 500 on BetMGM. I don't hate a quarter or half a unit on Josh Naylor to hit a home run today. It's a really tough spot, right? It is a very tough matchup against Ober, but I broke it down and I showed you why I think that this is a good bet. So statistically, I think you could potentially throw a quarter or half a unit on Josh Naylor at plus 500 on BetMGM to hit a home run today. And I said Atlanta, right? Yeah, I said Atlanta as my 6 or more runs. Hey, Harper today. There you go. Did I say Harper as my home run yesterday? I don't ever remember. I have a terrible memory. I had a ton of stuff going on yesterday. I know that Woo, but yeah. Yeah, looking to finish my DFS league strong, take the crown. Thanks for the help. I appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you liked the Plate IQ show. If you did, make sure you hit the subscribe. Oh, I took Roker. Yeah, he didn't hit a home run. Let's see here. 3-pick parlay. I really wanted to include St. Louis. I did. I will tweet out a 3-pick parlay tomorrow because I do want to include St. Louis in the 3-pick parlay. I really like them. There's a couple that I liked. Maybe I actually do have a 3-pick parlay that I like. Hold on. I have 2 that I really like, and I was trying to find a third that I liked. I'm really tempted to bet Detroit to win the game. They're minus 145. Do we bet? I'm gonna leave it up to you, chat. Do we do the 3-pick parlay with Detroit Tigers to beat Kansas City with Scoville against Marsh? All right, we're gonna do it. Why not? That way, because there's a 98% chance that I would forget to tweet it out tomorrow. So I have a plus 434 3-pick parlay for today. I got Braves over 4.5 total runs. Astros and Padres under 7.5 runs. I think that game is going to be very low scoring. It is Cease against Valdez. Valdez has been pitching great. Cease doesn't typically get blown up, and they let him pitch really deep into that game. And I am going to go Detroit minus 145 to beat Kansas City. That comes out to plus 434 on the 3-pick parlay today. Miss Monday and Tuesday. Let's hope we hit on Wednesday. Again, these are always for entertainment purposes. If you want to jump in and have some fun, please do. If not, I completely understand. And again, I'm betting them myself. I'm not just giving them out. I hope everyone has a fantastic Wednesday. We're back on Thursday with the NFL podcast. We'll have baseball back on Friday. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you then.